Shock Treatment the movie is rated PG, but Shock Treatment Minute is rated F for
Friends!
We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the way we'll talk about adult content and use adult language. Consider yourselves warned. Welcome to Shock Treatment Minute, the podcast where we break down shock treatment into excruciating detail, 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Leandra.
And I'm your other host, Kelly.
And today we are on minute 8.
Yes. And it's great.
It's a good minute. It's a really good one.
It is. They're all good ones. I really love this movie.
Yeah.
Today I was honestly, do I like it better than Rocky? I might, but I don't know. So, minute 8.
So what happens in minute 8?
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me.
I think
yeah.
It would be cutesy.
Okay.
If you did.
All right. If it's cutesy. So, as we were kind of discussing last minute, this one begins with the face of Judge Oliver Wright filling up the screen and grimacing. And if you are familiar with the Rocky Horror Picture Show or a couple of the Bond films, this actor is Charles Gray, who played the criminologist in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And also, I think, was it Diamonds Are Forever where he said, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die"?
I believe so.
I think that's the one. If not, I don't know, 5-star, you guys know the drill. Hey guys, Editing Kelly here. I actually looked it up and I was way off. Although, in a way, I was right. But not really. So, Charles Gray was in Diamonds Are Forever, and he was also in You Only Live Twice. Those were his 2 Bond films. However, and this is a big however, he did not say that line, nor was it in Diamonds Are Forever. That was spoken by, and forgive me on my pronunciation, Geert Frobe, playing Auric Goldfinger in, of course, Goldfinger. So that is where that line comes from. Charles Gray didn't have any, really famous lines like that. He says in Diamonds Are Forever, he does the "Good evening, Mr. Bond. How do you like my aquarium?" which is pretty fun. In You Only Live Twice as Deco Henderson, he says, "That's stirred, not shaken. That was right, wasn't it?" which is kind of fun. But basically, he doesn't say that line, and I'm so sorry. But anyway, so he's on screen, nice and big, and he looks like he hates that. And the text at the bottom says, "Judge Wright." And Betty continues with what she was saying. She says, "Denton's leading social scientist." And he looks down at his hands, which are kind of clasped together, and he looks kind of ashamed or embarrassed. And then so the camera pulls back and we see that they're seated at a desk with nameplates in front of them with their respective names. And they're in front of the Denton dossier title card like we were talking about. And they look at each other and she says, "Judge Wright." And he says, "Mm-hmm." And she says, "Did you enjoy our anthem?" And then he turns forward as if the expression on his face is that of one who is trying to think of a polite but honest way to respond. And he eventually says, "In a way." And then she says, "I detect a note of reticence. Are you perhaps one of those amongst us who feel this emotive form of presentation is overly manipulative?" And then we get a close-up on him, and he's really mashing those hands together. And he says, "Well, Betty, there are many ways that the spider may catch the fly." And we continue to hear him speaking in the background, but it cuts away from him right away. And I'll describe the scene that is taking place in a minute because it cuts to the audience, but I'm just going to read what his lines are taking place in the background now. He says, "There are many ways that the spider may catch the fly," and then it continues, "There are monetary inducements, extortion, seduction, blackmail, prejudice, and lies." While this is happening, we see Neely running up the stairs past the audience, and the audience are all staring up and frozen with their mouths agape, most of them, eyes wide. And it's because there are monitors above them and they're watching this unfold on the monitors. So Neely runs up the stairs and crouches by Brad and Janet. And, she's at Brad's right hand. And she says, Hi, Brad. Hi, Janet. Come for marriage maze? I'm exhausted working on this documentary for Farley's new show. And Janet goes, And she says, Farley Flavors, our new sponsor. Janet says, oh. And then Neely shakes her hand, kind of like she's trying to, like, get something off of it. And she goes, woo! I tell you, Janet, that guy's as close as we'll come to a successful man in this town. And she's pointing across Brad for emphasis at Janet while she says this. And Brad, during this whole conversation, is just staring past her, kind of at the monitor, but he doesn't look like stupefied like the rest of the audience. He looks like he's trying his very best to ignore her.
It's very dissociative in a different way than everybody else.
Yeah, it looks like he is very uncomfortable and is just kind of trying to get through it. And then Neely stands and leaves, just as Wright's list concludes. And Betty responds, "Thank you, Judge Oliver Wright." And we see Janet just kind of side-eye Brad a couple of times like she's appraising him. And then it's back to a close-up on Betty, and she says, "And now for a commercial break." And she gives a little, like, salute wave. That's the end of the minute.
That is so good.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a couple of things in this minute that I just love so much. Like, specifically, Betty is, like, my favorite character we've met so far. Because she's so sassy, and the "do you think this is overly manipulative" line is very, like, if I am being a massive cunt to you, with you, not at you, if we are being a massive cunt collectively together, and I go, "Do you think that thing was fucking awful?"
Yeah. And an interesting characterization thing about Betty, I feel like she's always trying to, like, show off her intelligence. Like,
oh, for sure.
She uses kind of slightly elevated vocabulary, and she enunciates it in a certain way. I mean, part of that might be that she's a British actress doing an American accent, but I also think she's intentionally being very calculated about how she enunciates things, and then later we'll see her love of literature and things like that.
I think that she's doing this because she's got the hots for Judge Oliver Wright.
Exactly, but I think it's very fun and interesting that the way that she's trying to appeal to people and present herself is by showing off in that way. So, very fun. And I love Betty too. She's just great.
She's so good.
So here's the thing.
Yes.
I'm full conspiracy mode after studying this minute. I'm more and more convinced that Judge Oliver Wright is literally the criminologist from Rocky.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Like, I think that even if it didn't start out as being the exact same character, they made the choice to cast this person in this role, and they're acting the same way.
If he was just a judge, I would be like, but he's a leading social scientist, you know?
Yeah.
Like perhaps a criminologist?
This is the same actor.
Yeah.
Or the same character, rather. Obviously, it's the same actor, but...
Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely... There is only one, and God, he is so fun with the way he delivers lines.
And I swear I could watch this man read the fucking phone book.
It'd be interesting. And
yeah, his voice is very soothing, too.
Yeah, 100%. He was a true treasure. And so something that was pointed out by the Bill Brennan and Madman Mike commentary that I think is an interesting idea. They talked about how as soon as he starts criticizing Denton, the camera cuts away from him and we see other action. And obviously, like, the in-universe camera is still trained on him, but it is interesting. We hear him in the background speaking the truth, but we never really get focus on him while that's happening. And then when we go back, it's straight to commercial, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Although his line, and maybe it's just that I'm stupid, but maybe it's that I'm stupid and it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think that his line makes a lot of sense as an answer to Betty's question.
So yeah, she asks if this emotive form of presentation is overly manipulative, and he says the spider, there are many ways the spider may catch the fly. I assume he's saying that type of manipulation is one way, but they also will try and manipulate you through monetary inducements, extortion, seduction, blackmail, prejudice, and lies. And what I think is interesting about his list is that we see versions of that being employed by the company Farley Flavors throughout the rest of the movie. I think we see all of those.
Okay. I definitely think that at the bare minimum, that sounds like the truth. Maybe we should have this list kind of
In
as
the
a
backs of our
running
minds.
thing,
Yeah.
and as it happens, we check it off.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Listeners, play along at home. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting, at least, theory about what they were doing there, and it is kind of like Oliver Wright is the first person we see. Brad is not really bought in, but Judge Wright is the first person we see who is actively criticizing the situation here.
And he's doing it in the exact same way that he criticized things in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So
It's true.
they're the same character.
Totally. I mean, I invite someone to, like, tell me what the differences are. You know what I mean? They have essentially the same job and the exact same characterization, and we never get a name for the criminologist, so.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people in the Rocky community at least are comfortable with this being a possibility.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody go, I'm aggressively against that headcanon and here's why.
Yeah. The general consensus I usually hear is that it's left ambiguous, which it is, but I'm just saying Kelly is taking the stance that he is definitely the criminologist.
Yeah.
But also, I don't believe this takes place in the same universe, so he's an abstraction of that criminologist, I guess.
Yeah, he's the criminologist in the same way that Brad is Brad and Janet is Janet.
Yeah. The dead zombie stare that everyone has looking into the monitors, it's almost too on the nose, but it is so well executed.
I have that note too, and it's just, thank God we're at this live showing so I can watch the monitors, and they're just slack-jawed. But, like, also, I get that lots of the audience really can't see the actual action because the TV set where Oliver is talking is way on their right. But the couple of people on that right side of the audience, they are doing such a good job of not looking. Like, if it were me, even if a director was like, we only want you to look at the monitors, I'd be like, yeah, but other stuff's happening over there and I can see it and I want to see what they're doing because it seems like it's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's good dedication to the bit, at the very least.
So Neely, the way she addresses Janet, and I know that, like, probably a lot of people know each other. If this is the entire town, it's a very small town. But the way that Neely speaks to Janet's so familiar, it feels like they're friends or friendly acquaintances. Like they maybe are, like, I don't know, friends from high school or something.
Yeah, they definitely don't seem like they're best friends in the world, but like maybe that fun friend that one day you'd want to hang out with more.
Or like they just are in the same social circles, like they would attend the same potluck or book club or whatever. That's kind of how it seems to me, but if it was high school, that would really enrich her history with Betty, which we'll see Neely and Betty interact later and get Betty's opinion on her. I mean, of course, Betty would know Neely pretty well because they both work at DTV, but it would be fun if they also had known each other since school. So that's my thought. And I love how bitchy Neely is to say that there's no successful man in this town, literally on top of Brad.
Yeah, and all the while, Brad is just going, I'll be up here and I'll be down here.
Brad's listening.
He is listening like the sun in the sky.
Yeah.
But those are my notes.
That's my notes.
All right, what callbacks do you have?
Well, no real ones, but another speculative callback. I really hope that there are some criminologist-themed callbacks during this scene. We get a necklace close-up. He's doing the fart hand thing again. I just hope there is some callback referencing the criminologist.
Well, ask and you shall receive.
Woohoo!
When you first see him, you can say, that man still has no fucking neck.
Yeah, I
Or,
figured.
hand farts, get your hand farts.
I called it. It's
Or,
fun that
let,
I now know the Rocky community well enough that I can sort of predict what jokes they would make.
yeah, or just let the neck jokes begin.
Oh, that's good. I might start using that one at Rocky.
Yeah, it's very kind of lampshady.
Well, the thing is, listeners, if you haven't been in the Rocky world for a while, you wouldn't know this, but there's a certain type of newbie who gets way too into the neck stuff, and it's just constant, and it's not even well timed.
And if you are that person, stop.
Yeah.
Get some help.
Yeah, just less is more, like just a couple of neck callbacks, you know?
But
Woohoo,
they
but-
continue.
Oh yeah, sorry.
When Betty says, Denton's leading social scientist, Judge right? And then you go, Judge wrong. And Betty says, did you enjoy our anthem? You can instead say, do you enjoy those neck jokes? And then he goes, in a way. And then when Betty says, I detect a note of reticence, you can go, thanks, that's my breath mint. And you can shout over her line, is it true that the Washington Nationals, or whatever Major League Baseball team, have hired a spider to play outfield? And then Oliver says, well, Betty, there are many ways that the spider may catch the fly.
That's so stupid.
I think that that is the funniest thing in the entire world.
No, it's really good.
Like, imagine hearing somebody yell, is it true that the Washington Nationals have hired a spider to play outfield? And then you, as a person who has never seen shock treatment, hear Oliver Wright go, well, Betty, there are many ways that the spider may catch the fly.
It's so funny. I'm gonna practice my timing on that one.
Yeah, it's a good one. And then you can shout, how does Betty get men to sleep with her? And he says there are monetary inducements. And he continues. And you can say, hey, Neely, who's stoned? And Neely says, hi, Brad. Hi, Janet. And anytime Neely says come, you can retort with squirt. So she says, come for the marriage maze? Squirt. And then when Neely says, I'm exhausted working on this new documentary for Farley's new show, you can say the Dick Van Lesbian Show or Asshole and Me. And then Neely says, Farley Flavors, our new sponsor. And you can shout, are you a lesbian? And then she shakes her hands as if she's like drying her nails or like, you know.
It's like she got something on them.
Yeah. And you can go, sure am, and my fingers are tired.
Relatable.
And then Neely says, I tell you, Janet, that guy's as close as we'll come. Squirt! To a successful man in this town. And then the final one is, you'll come for anything with the word suck in it. And that's it.
Alright, well I guess that just leaves us with one matter of business to attend to.
Okay.
Leandra,
Yeah.
does this bird belong to you?
Ah!
Oh wow, put a little effort into it that time.
Yeah, I decided not to be a pillow princess this once.
Yeah, well that'll be the day. If you're listening to this later on, destroy the file.
Do not seek the treasure.
I thought you was a toad.
Do not seek the treasure. We thought you was a toad.